look, she knows it's just part of our marriage is that there's an openness to other directors being involved. That's just, she knows. So anyhow.
Does he push your butt?
Her butt or my butt?
I don't know.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, presented by CinemaSins.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, a weekly look at everything going on inside the world of CinemaSins. I'm Aaron Dicer, and I'm joined as always by Jonathan Watkins.
Hello, hello.
And Danae Hughes.
Hi.
We write for CinemaSins and TV Sins and do various other things inside the CinemaSins universe as well.
What happened?
Danae just leaned forward to look at something in her headphones. just like slammed into the microphone.
Sorry about that.
Nice.
No. Hey, listen. It is what it is. Warts and all.
Warts?
That's the phrase, right? Warts and all?
I don't know that
I
phrase.
think so.
You've never heard the phrase warts and all?
No.
The idea that you accept something warts and all. You accept it no matter what it looks.
You're talking about sex?
No. What? No. I didn't say genital warts and all.
Sex. Genital warts and all.
Technically, that's a type of wart.
I had sex with her warts and all.
And I accepted her warts and all.
Wow.
I was like, wow,
5
that's
seconds
deep.
for this to get off the rails.
Wow. Well, welcome, guys. You know what podcast you're listening to.
An inappropriate one. You should probably not have any children in the vehicle.
Oh, my goodness.
Or if you do, be prepared to explain STDs.
Yeah, I like when my daughter asks if she can listen to my podcast, and I'm like, no.
Nope.
No, you cannot.
No.
Someday when you're older.
You must be 35 before you start listening to this podcast.
And it's like, A, it's a little inappropriate, and B, I don't want you to lose respect for me.
Yes,
So-
exactly. I totally get that. It is when you're listening to this, we are either right in the midst of Sin Week or it's just happened, depending on how quick you get to this podcast. But
True story.
man, what a week!
Yeah, this is going to be a very different week for all of us. Although you guys did this last year.
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
last year the first Sin Week ever?
It sure was.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been working behind the scenes for a while now. I mean,
You could even say behind the sins.
not only to get extra scripts in and extra content for Sin Week, where we release a video every single day for our members. And for the public, I think it's still regular posting. It's only for members, right?
Yeah,
The
correct.
extra videos?
Yeah, the extra videos are just for
The
members.
extra videos are only for members.
Mm-hmm.
There'll still be 2 videos for everybody.
And then on top of that, there has also been planning for everyone converging in Nashville. So, planning the event itself. And Aaron's been doing a great job. So
Thanks. That's why I brought it up.
Congratulations, Aaron. You're doing great.
That's why I brought it up. Thank you.
And the whole
appreciate
team,
that.
everyone who's been working both at Made In and here in the CinemaSins side of things. So yeah, we've been preparing for this for a long time, and now it's time. Now it's go time.
Yeah, it takes a village. It takes an M. Night's The Village for sure to get stuff done.
Is that what's going to happen? Because I will kill someone.
You probably would. So by the
If
time
we
you
showed The Village, what?
No, if I was suddenly in the movie The Village, I'd be killing people. I would lose my mind.
Yeah, don't be putting
That's-
on the red robe in front of Danae.
That's dark.
Hey, listen.
Really dark.
If it's my life or your life, and you're attacking me, it's just be prepared.
Why am I
To meet your
attacking you
maker.
all of a sudden? Like, what is going on?
Yeah, they
Maybe
weren't
I'm just trying to
attacking.
give you some bread.
Yeah, we're just trying to scare you straight. Nobody's trying to attack you.
I'm pretty sure someone tries to kill someone at the end. There's a blind girl. She's running through. There's a scary thing.
Uh-huh.
He dies.
Yeah, the scary thing dies.
That's The Village right there in a nutshell. Warts and all.
There's a wall.
Danae sums up the
Someone
village.
needs some penicillin. I don't know.
There's a security guard.
Oh man. Anyhow, as you're hearing this, you've already been privy probably to the game night video that's only for members and the Avengers
2020.
redo. Yeah, the 2020 version of Sinning the Avengers, which I know a lot of people are excited about. And then we've got Pokemon coming out and Love Actually, which are videos we're very excited about because they've been sitting a while waiting.
Talk about that one's not coming out till tomorrow when this show releases.
Yeah, when it releases, sure. But I mean, people know what they are. We've already announced what the members'
right,
videos
of course,
are.
yes, I'm paying attention
so.
to that, obviously.
Yeah.
But the movie that's releasing today, the day that the podcast comes out, can we say what that one is, or would you have to wait?
You mean the CinemaSins video?
Yeah.
The For Everybody?
Yeah, we have to wait. Probably can't talk about that one.
Yeah, probably should wait on that.
We'll talk about all of them on a live panel during Sin Week, and then you'll be hearing from all 6 of us and questions from the audience on next week's episode.
And that is the other reason I wanted to bring it up, because next week's Behind the Sins will feel a little bit different. It'll be a live situation. There'll be live interaction. All 6 of the Sins team will be participating.
You'll finally hear from Jeremy.
He does exist.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
His first time on the show will be live.
We tricked him into being on an episode.
That's right. We finally made it happen.
We actually
he'll pull a sick day.
Yeah. That's
not feeling good. Sorry,
COVID-19. I'm sorry.
I gotta go.
Gotta go. So yeah, we're really excited about it, but wanted to kind of give you a heads up on that and just tell you, man, this is a fun time of year to be in the Sins universe, for
and
sure.
And Danae is going to describe in detail Lady in the Water. That's going to be really exciting.
Oh my God, I know this one so well. All right, guys, there's a pool.
There is a pool.
Good job. So far, so good.
I don't even honestly remember what happens in it, so I'm going to believe you.
There's a guy who clearly masturbates too much with one arm.
Yeah.
There's an apartment complex.
Yes.
And some shiny objects.
Yes.
And a scary grass gremlin.
Yeah.
The end.
Very nicely done. Bravo.
Okay, so now that I did it this week, you're going to have to come up with one that I do next week.
So, I'm trying to... you were on the Lady in the Water commentary we did, weren't you?
Yes.
So...
I'm pretty sure.
That's funny. How would I have known that?
Nope.
Friend of the show, Josh Childs, which is one of Jeremy and I's college buddies that we talk about in the show sometimes.
Shout out to Josh.
Josh, Danae, and I did a full Lady in the Water commentary because I was kind of in the middle, and Danae loves it, and Josh hates it, and so we kind of all talked about it during the whole movie. So that's available on YouTube, actually. You have to load up the movie yourself.
And watch it along with us.
And watch it along with us. But yeah.
It's super interesting that is the movie Danae loves.
Why?
I remember liking it fine. I've only seen it one time. I saw it in the theater when it came out, but a lot of people don't like that movie, so it's just kind of funny.
Yeah.
Of course I like it.
It's like Lord of the Rings, Lady in the Water.
Yes.
That's all I got for you.
Yep. Dark Crystal.
Dark Crystal. There you go.
Labyrinth.
Dark Crystal.
Anything with
Do you
fantasy.
Like Harry Potter?
Yeah, I do like, but I'm more on the book side than the movie side.
Oh, well, yeah. I hope you appreciated that sin then.
I can't wait to talk about it.
All right.
Cool.
That's a good transition there.
Okay.
Let's get into the SinSide Scoop.
What's he building in there?
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
This is a true story.
We're going to take a look at the videos from the week, talk about the process of sinning them, how we felt about the content we're sinning in general. Always kick it off with TV sins, and it finally happened! We got to do some sins on a reality television show. We fired up the very first episode of Survivor entitled The Marooning, which was season 1 of Survivor. This was a Dicer Hughes script Danae and I wrote on this.
And my God, is this show dated?
Right? Yeah.
I mean, we did like Star Trek, the original series.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is more dated.
It's funny to go back 20 years like that and, think of...
Well, and even if you just watch a couple seasons after this, it's so different.
Yeah, it gets better real fast.
Are you talking about just like the pacing of a show?
I think they really, and we talk about this in the Sins video, they really thought they were kind of doing more of like a docu-series that had like game elements in it.
Yeah.
And so there's this narration that's kind of a little self-serious. During the challenges, they're putting up like, such and such leading as if we can't see it with our, it's overproduced in some ways.
So they're not doing that anymore.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's good.
This has really become one of the best edited, best produced shows on TV. Some of the stuff they're doing now is it's really good.
I think we should probably start off at the beginning by saying that you are a big Survivor fan.
Huge fan. Yes, huge fan.
Which I think really helped this script a lot because you were able to put in quite a lot of information in the sins that sort of gave a nod to how much you know about it, like the music, choosing the cast, the animals, not really being a threat, the land not being a threat, the whole launch of the reality TV kind of genre. Like you were really able to put all of that in the script. I didn't do any of that. That was all you.
You named the monkey, didn't you, Danae?
I did name the monkey.
Okay. That was the one sin. I'm like, Danae did that.
They did such a great job.
And it made me happy because I didn't know if Aaron would like keep all your sins out because it was like his show. It's like,
no, that was great. I loved that. Mr. Blurgle
Blurgle
whatever it was. Yeah. That was good
He
stuff.
put the name up there.
Yeah.
And they even did it looked like they did the same
I know,
font.
they did so good.
Yeah.
They did so good.
Kudos to the editors.
So what is your experience with the show? You said you've watched at least one episode of this season. How many have you watched in the past?
Just we did, my husband and I watched one season. I don't even remember what season it was.
But it was a few years ago, or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's been probably, I'm going to say in the last 5 years we watched it, but I hadn't watched it at all beforehand. And then since watching the first episode, I haven't watched any more.
Winners at War, yeah.
Yeah. So there's something about it that like I talked about before, the drama of it is just, it's kind of hard for me to be excited to go back and watch the drama. I like to eliminate drama from my life. So seeing it as entertainment is difficult for me, but watching.
Really curious how you do that. If you let me know.
Well, you don't talk to a lot of people.
I'm warts and all.
Warts and all. But watching the first one, it felt sort of like a time capsule in a way.
Yeah.
And I kind of enjoyed that. I was nervous about what we would be able to sin because it's a totally different thing.
Yeah.
It's not someone who wrote it. It's somebody who chose to edit it.
Edit it. Yeah. The
So
writing is the
of-
editing. The editing
yeah.
is the writing, I should say. Yeah.
So there are some people who say that it's scripted, but I don't know if the first one really could be to a certain degree since it was so experimental.
Yeah.
But there are certainly things that confused me. Like, for example, BB's wood planks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very confused how he managed to have all of those wood planks.
They must have They must have gotten them on the raft somehow.
I mean, but if you look at the footage, there's not like gigantic bundles of unified wood planks. And so I'm like, okay, well, did they find like a hut and they just took the hut down? And then that really bothers me.
Yeah.
And also her ukulele really bothers me too, because that means that it was like in her pack.
Yeah, when they started, and we didn't really touch on this, but when they started, they were all allowed to bring what was called a luxury item. So they each got to pick one thing that would be waiting on the island for them.
Oh, I see.
As their kind of thing.
BB
That's still
chose
a
wood
dumb,
planks.
dumb thing to bring.
Yeah.
BB chose wood planks.
Of course, yes.
And she chose a ukulele.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I was actually kind of happy to be able to find some things to send. It was difficult for me at times, but I just kept watching it until it kind of came through.
I'm super excited to tell your story of you watching this for the first time and texting me. That's going to be really fun, I think, for people to hear. But Jonathan, I did want to hear kind of your experience with the show. How much have you watched?
I watched the first 2 seasons when they were on. I think I watched at least part of the 3rd season when it was on. And then I watched it a few other seasons sporadically. I'm pretty sure I saw the one with Boston Rob. Was that Marcakis?
Marcakis, yeah. It's one of my favorite seasons.
Marcakis, idiot. And then I know I watched, I'm the idiot. I'm not calling you an idiot.
That's fine, you can.
and then I watched, I know I watched the first, or maybe the only All-Star one, which that one actually wasn't very good.
Yeah.
But I was mostly going back and watching this, and you guys did awesome on this. I didn't know how this was going to turn out. And this was like one of those, even though I wasn't on the edit or anything, I immediately went and watched it as soon as it was available to review because I was just so curious, and you guys did awesome. I was shocked at even though he's just one of probably the biggest assholes in the history of anything, Richard, that dude just came to play immediately.
Yeah. He understood.
I was just shocked at how well he knew what to do. He knew how to play the game already. And then he even makes that comment, I've already written the check.
Yeah. It's one of those.
You're just I guess you did.
It's one of those crazy things looking back, and you could experience it as you're watching the season, but nobody else there understood what was going on. They thought they were at summer camp. Every last one of them was just having an experience. And then the voting was they all had their, kind of reasons. And at one point, I think later in the first season, one of them literally draws a card to pick who they're going to vote out, that kind of thing, leaving it up to chance. And Richard arrived on the island understanding what the concept of the game was, and that it was be social, understand people, but also voting alliances. There was a thing in the first season where alliances were looked at as unethical. It was how dare you vote with other people? That's cheating. And it's no, that's the game, and only Richard understood that. So this is probably a good time today for you to kind of relive your experience watching this for the first time.
I wonder if I should pull up my texts to you, but essentially what was going on is there's this moment when he first kind of appears to you, and he's in a tree like a monkey, looking down upon the plebeians below, and he's talking down. And the first thing I thought was, he's like, before we talk, let's talk about how we're going to talk. And the first thing I did is actually, I hope this is okay to share, because it's going to come.
This is fine. This is fine.
I texted Aaron and I was like, this kind of reminds me of you a little bit. Because Aaron is one of those people who we might have a lot of stuff to do, but the first thing he wants to do is talk about how we're going to do all those things. And I'm the kind of person that wants to jump in and start doing.
Right. Yeah.
But Aaron's going to pay his taxes and not walk around naked.
First one for sure. Second one, not sure. Not sure.
Well, I mean, if people said they didn't want you to,
of course,
you would
yes,
abide.
of course.
So
that is generally why I wear clothes every day, because people ask me to.
So then I hit play again and I'm watching some more, and I'm just like, man, I'm free texting Aaron at this point in time. I'm like, this guy is such a dick, blah blah blah. And then he says that he's going to cash the check, and I'm like, what a pompous ass, and blah blah. And I'm writing sins about,
I think the sin you told me you wrote as soon as he said, I've already got the check written. The sin you wrote was, okay, sweetheart.
Oh, yeah. I was like, okay, sweetie. You do you, sweetheart. That's right. And then something kind of pinged the back of my head. Sometimes you have those instincts that there's just something weird and you need to go check out. And mine was to do a quick Google search for who won season 1 of Survivor, which resulted in me freaking out and sending message after message to Aaron, like, no way, this guy wins, he wins. And it blew my mind. Blew my mind.
And then he came back on All Stars and lasted a while.
Yeah, he didn't do too bad.
He didn't get close to winning, but he was probably like halfway through it or something.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
He's never been back, right?
No, he's played twice, I think. But yeah.
Anyway, it was just kind of a crazy thing. Obviously, he realized that his intensity, because he even says in the show, I don't think we air it in our Sins video, but he says, like, if people are finding Rudy rude, they're going to hate me. So I got to change up my strategy here. And you're right. He was the only person that was really strategic in how he was talking. And I just find that fascinating, because he was rubbing me the wrong way.
Oh, of course.
And the way he was talking down to everyone.
Yes.
I don't know. That just blows my mind.
Yeah, and the way they progressed that storyline through the season was kind of genius. I remember the night the finale aired, I recorded it. My family was over, my mom and dad, and we were playing cards while it was recording, and we had a Tigers game on TV, because I thought that's the safest thing to have on TV where I'm not going to be spoiled of the winner. So right in the middle of the Detroit Tigers game, the announcer says, "Can you believe that Richard Hatch guy won Survivor?"
No!
I was like,
Crazy.
no!
Well, that was like so huge. I mean, remember, they premiered the second season pilot premiere after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, it was a huge hit for sure.
Well, and what's interesting to me, I still remember that final episode too, where it got down to the three of them. It was, I don't remember their names. It was the older woman and the younger woman and him.
Oh, it was Kelly, Sue, and Richard were the final three. Yeah,
and he got Kelly to keep him there.
Sue, I think.
Was Sue the older one?
Yes. No, you're right. Yes, he got Kelly.
Yeah.
Yes, he got Kelly to vote out Sue. Yeah,
he got everybody to vote for him to win, even though he had completely dicked over everyone.
Yep. Well, in Sue makes that spectacular final speech about her vote.
Piss on you.
Where it was
you
like,
were on fire. Is that what you're talking about?
No, well, yeah. She said some very mean things to Kelly because she felt betrayed by Kelly, and she was like, "I'm on an island with a rat and a snake, and I'm going to vote for the snake because at least the snake tells me that he's coming for me, and the rat is going behind my back." So
crazy.
Yeah. She did say something along the lines of like, if you were on the side of the road on fire, I wouldn't piss on you. She did apologize to her.
Did you ever listen to the commentaries?
No.
So there's a commentary on the DVD set that and it was Probst and Richard and I think
Kelly?
Rudy.
Oh, it
was
was Rudy? Mm-hmm.
No, it wasn't Rudy. It was someone else that was on the opposite team. Anyhow, I wanted to listen to that to see kind of what the vibe was and hear a little bit of it. And I did create a sin kind of from a conversation that happened, which was when they were editing back, that moment with Richard on the tree was when they realized they had something. And then they all just kept watching it over and over and over again going, this is good, right? Like, this is good. Because it had never been done before. And so they were kind of pumping themselves up going, this is fascinating to watch, right? Like, people are going to love this, right? I mean, let's watch it again. And so they would just watch it over and over again with him kind of becoming that golden drama llama. Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
and I think Probst doesn't get enough credit.
Oh, he's great.
I think he did great.
He might be the best host.
I mean,
ever.
He kind of is dogging himself in the comments, like, look how young I was and stupid, and I thought that I knew what was going on. But I liked his vibe. I think he carries it.
He knows the questions to ask.
Yeah. See, that's my
councils.
thing. He is so great at tribal council. Like, he knows exactly how to direct things. He's, I think he is, if not the best reality show host ever, he's certainly in the the top 30.
Yeah, he's in there. I mean, I don't know who else you're going to put in there, like Bergeron.
Kat Deely.
Yeah, I would put Kat Deely in there from So You Think You Can Dance. She's incredible.
Kat Deely's great.
She's so good at like keeping things flowing, keeping it interesting and fun. But anyways.
Nick Jonas? You're not putting Nick Jonas in? I'm not Nick Jonas. I'm sorry, I didn't mean Nick Jonas. I meant
Nick Jonas?
Nick Cannon.
Oh,
no.
Yeah,
well, Nick Jonas is on The Voice now. I guess he counts.
This is The Voice!
Who's the guy? Who's the guy in News Now that hosted the first season of? Do you remember The Mole? Do you remember The Mole?
I remember it coming out.
Was that Chris Hansen?
No. He's totally a famous newscaster now, and I'm totally blanking on his name, but he was great as host of The Mole.
No, I watched that season of The Mole.
Yeah. So anyhow, it's nice to get a little sidetracked there by reality show hosts, but
sorry. Well, and Probst is also, I was going to say, he's very. Oh, it's Anderson Cooper.
Yes, Anderson Cooper. Yeah.
Sudden Baby Probst was one of the sins that I really liked, by the way, because and having not watched a lot of the Survivor and seeing like a newer Survivor and then going back to Baby Probst, that was
and it was also
sudden and unexpositional Baby Probst, but which is hard to say.
He's really honest in interviews too. He'll tell you like who he likes on the show, who has played the game well, who has played it really shady. He'll be very honest, which is also refreshing.
Yeah, I really could talk about Survivor forever. We should probably get into even some specific sins that maybe you'd like. What do you think, Jonathan? Anything you wanted to bring out that we haven't talked about?
The celebrity of the Donald Trump sin was great. At least that's the only way politics and reality TV will ever cross paths. Well, and Richard was on Celebrity Apprentice.
Yes, he was. He did do it.
But famously couldn't be at the final live taping because he was in jail again.
Yeah, probably should pay your taxes.
Why listen to someone who has been trained to be a Navy SEAL is insane. That they just did not listen to Rudy.
Oh, that drove me crazy.
Rudy's the best. Oh, I love Rudy so much.
Well, I mean, I guess it makes sense he's passed away because he was pretty old then, but
yeah.
I didn't know that.
I loved when he was like, I don't even know what MTV is.
Yeah, that was another one I had written down.
Yeah, that was such a good, that was a good sin that you wrote.
Yeah. Well,
it's okay, they don't know either.
Yeah, good news, Rudy. Neither does MTV.
The Sins Have Spoken was out. That was a great way to end it. And I don't know why this one just caught me completely off guard and just, I was dying, that is far too many ants.
I mean, come on. That was so
like a
many.
War movie.
That was crazy amount of ants.
A lot of ants for sure.
And then them putting the money in front of them like the World Series of Poker was a great thing to notice.
I loved that I got to finally have Jeremy bust out in a DC Talk rhyme. That
got some love in the comments.
That made me very happy. So yeah, I was glad to do that. And then the other one I wanted to mention was the scene does not contain a fire dance. Because it's kind of a play on a sin we no longer do. Scene does not contain a lap dance. Because I never realized how sexual the process of like starting fire was. Like all the grinding and the thrusting and the fingering. Like it's just it's like.
Okay.
I creatively worked a lap dance sin in one I just wrote with Barrett, and I'm very, and he kept it in there. I'm very excited about it.
Oh.
Nice.
One of the ones I really wanted to bring attention to, I hope it doesn't steal somebody's comments, was from Dirk.
Yeah.
Did any of you have a Dirk comment?
No,
Dirk
I didn't do the
comments?
Dirk comment, but I know the one you're talking about.
Hilariously, there's a sin about Dirk's dairy farm and milking the teat of the cow. And there is a man whose name is Dirk, who apparently is a farmer, a dairy farmer, who left a comment and says, I feel specifically targeted because I'm Dirk. I have a dairy farm, which has milking cows. And if you do over milk a cow, it does become sore. And then just everyone going, get that bomb out, Dirk, and too much information and then not enough information.
That's
so just
amazing.
A hilarious, just synchronicity, totally random thing.
I did some research after seeing that comment on where Dirk is now, like what, like there you can find like where the different survivors, what they're doing now, that kind of thing. And he's just kind of living his life like most of them, so.
That's so funny.
The only other ones that I had mentioned that I really liked was actual footage of a TVSIN staff meeting, which was when he was like, I'm not listening to you right now.
Yeah.
And then the reality TV making me miserable because humans are annoying. I really enjoyed playing on that for the narrator.
Real quick though, whoever came up with that Richard Alpert's face on the Little Mermaid, that is pure nightmare fuel. That might be the scariest outtake. I think that's even worse than The Mist.
I love that
it is terrifying.
It is. I love that you said Richard Alpert instead of Richard Hatch.
Oh crap! Richard Hatch. Who's Richard Alpert?
He's from Lost. He's the guy that never aged on Lost.
Oh yeah, totally forgot about that.
So that's perfect. That's a perfect
so
reference
funny.
either way. So
that was a fun one. I do also like that in the comments there were many requests to do more live TV of various kinds.
Yeah.
So I do wonder if we'll venture into things like Bachelorette or something.
I don't know.
I hope not. I
we'll
kind of
see.
hope not, to be honest.
This proved that we could do it. I mean, I think there's still some we probably couldn't do. I don't know how we would do like American Idol or something. I guess we could.
Oh, we
couldn't play
totally. Are you
music,
kidding me? Do you know how hard I would send that thing where they're like, and the winner is after the break? Like,
oh my God.
That's a million sins right there.
Talk about, nothing against Seacrest, but talk about someone that's not probably as good of a host as people think he is.
Seacrest is good. He's good, though.
He's fine.
He's fine.
He's fine. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on to The Walking Dead. Too Far Gone. This was a Dicer Watkinson script.
Well, that was fun to talk about. Let's move on.
You're not ready to do more Walking Dead episodes?
You guys.
Yeah, we're going to be doing some Walking Dead episodes because the new season is here, which apparently the show is still on the air, which I'm...
And not going anywhere, according to Walking Dead people. It's going to be on for a while.
And like spin-off movies are coming with Rick in them. And it's interesting to go back to these old episodes. And I kind of am starting to remember things I liked about watching The Walking Dead. Like Too Far Gone is an interesting episode because it really, to me, shows how great a job they did at making you care about these characters. Mm-hmm. You know, the deaths really meant something. And so, it's kind of fascinating for me to go back to these.
I loved this episode. This was an episode that actually got me back into the show for a minute.
Yeah.
I remember that very well. Now, this was like, I think, a mid-season finale, and I'm pretty sure whatever the next episode I don't think is very good, which is per usual with The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
But so going back and watching this was interesting. It was kind of like you probably with Crawl Space, with Breaking Bad. There were definitely things that did not work in this episode, but I did the moments, especially towards the end, when the governor really becomes a bad guy.
Yeah.
Which he had not done the whole time he had been on there. As someone who had read the comics, I feel like they really did a bad job with his character.
Yeah.
But that was the fucking governor, there at the end of that episode.
Right.
And then the thing with Herschel, and like that was actually a meaningful death, and it hit your heartstrings, and
yeah.
Just the battle itself was pretty interesting, but there's still a lot of crap in this that was really hard to get through and was very easy to send.
Now, Danae has refused to watch any of the Walking Dead Sins videos.
At this point, it's just like, I might as well just keep the streak going. I'm sure I could look at it.
No, we just put a lot of hard work into it. But if you don't want to watch it and have any thoughts for us, then, you don't have to.
Well, I like that one sin. It was so good.
What was some of the stuff that you liked, Jonathan?
Aaron really likes to mess with opening credits. I always find that entertaining whenever he does an opening credits one. And this one you did where they were taunting us with Herschel's farm.
Just for like 2 frames.
Yeah. Murder logic is hard. How the fuck would she find Tara was a really good one. Because that was just such a dumb thing. It was like, you go hide and I'll find you. I'm like, how is that going to work? Like, please show me that.
Yeah, this show does that kind of stuff all the time.
We had that little bit of a running sin with Jeremy, like where it was like, or maybe I'm an asshole, because I was watching this and I'm like, does the governor really have any leverage here? Like, because I mean, I would think that keeping that prison to themselves is a pretty big thing.
Yeah.
And you can't think that the governor is going to blow it up because he wants it too.
Except apparently he doesn't care.
I don't know. I mean, I guess they don't want Herschel and Michonne to die, but I'm still just sitting there thinking, I mean, 2 people versus saving all these lives.
Yeah.
I don't know. It felt kind of weird to me. It felt kind of less of a standoff than it really was. But then I added the or maybe I'm an asshole in there just to be funny.
No, that was great.
I don't know where the Meanwhile on Downton Abbey thing came to me, but I'm glad we kept it in because it's just one of those weird things to say.
Yeah. This will always be the choral episode to me, and I was glad if you're ever going to do a choral bonus round, this is definitely the episode to do it on.
And the music they use.
Oh yeah, old
so
Mario
funny.
music, of course. I also love that people just continue to get a kick out of the fact that we just casually call him Coral instead of Carl, which is a great running gag in these videos, which I enjoy. Shouting Rick killed me when I was watching it. Just anytime he has to yell, his American accent goes away. And so it's so funny to me. And so I was glad we got a chance to send that as well.
Well, and why would he even tell them that they had a council now? Like, I mean, it was dumb.
And then this show, not just this episode, although there is one in this episode, but even as we're sending more episodes, this show loves its like fake outs. It loves its interruptions. There are 2 in a row here, and we even sent it in the episode of, like explosions happening right when somebody's about to tell somebody something, or gunshots go off right, when somebody's about to do something. It is such a crutch for this show to hold information by doing interruption fake outs, and it's just something I'm noticing more and more and more.
Yeah, and we cut the one where there was one in there where Daryl looked like he was about to be attacked.
Yeah.
And we were just like, we know you're not going to kill Daryl, so this is dumb.
Yeah.
But it didn't really work editing wise in the video itself, so we took it out.
We left that one out.
I agree. There's a ton of that in this episode.
Yeah, all in all, I'm glad we're doing some more Walking Dead. I mean, it does get a little bit, it feels a little bit like, how many times can you say these zombies shouldn't be a threat? But what's amazing is apparently there are a bunch of different ways to say that because we keep coming up with new ones. So yeah, it's fun times.
Well, then we're gonna do one pretty soon where it's insane, like how many zombies they take on with no issue.
Right. Yeah.
But then like in other episodes, it's like 1 or 2 is a problem.
Yeah. Well, even at the end of this one, there's a sin about how, as for whatever reason, when the story needs it right at the end, the zombies they're just not interested in attacking the humans anymore. Like there's 2 of them
just, great one too.
There's 2 of them just hanging out in the background, just, doing nothing.
Even though Carl just shot a weapon.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh man.
What's Danae doing right now?
Probably on Discord.
Yeah, I mean, I was making my way there. I was thinking about tweeting something. I thought maybe it would be cool to like schedule a tweet that had some links to it, but apparently you can only schedule tweets after you've been tweeting for a while, so our BTS can't tweet. So I'm learning. I'm over here learning.
Oh, nice.
Educating myself. Yeah. So I mean, did you guys want to talk about something? Or?
Yes. In fact, we want to talk about Taylor Swift's The Man. Can we do that? Yeah, let's move on to music video sins. Taylor Swift doing The Man. Well, not doing The Man.
No, she is the man.
She's being the man.
Did you know it was
warts
her
and all.
straight off?
Well, I mean, yes.
Okay.
I mean, because I didn't experience this video, I guess like most people would have. I mean, I like there was conversation about what the video that I read in our Slack before I even saw the video.
Oh, okay.
So like
you knew. Did you know, Jonathan?
About what? About her?
Yeah, that it was her.
Yeah. No. Well, as soon as Barrett brought up he said something to me about he was putting that in. I went ahead and watched it.
Yeah, as soon as it dropped, I watched
on.
it. I watched it like when Taylor dropped the video first.
I could not see her in that.
Oh no, it's a great costume for sure.
It's unbelievable.
The only time I really saw her was when she was with the little kid and she was smiling. It was like it was Taylor's teeth, and it was.
She has a very distinct smile.
Yeah, I was like, oh, there she is in there a little bit.
There you are,
there
Peter.
You are, Peter. I really loved her man spreading in the.
Is it okay though? Like, I feel like I hold this against her, but like the thing about Taylor Swift I used to love is that she was just such an interesting songwriter. I don't feel like she is anymore. Like, I just think everything is so
expected.
Well, I think everything is just it's so basic, and it's kind of just hits you over the head. This is a great message, but I just feel like if she wrote this song like 8 or 9 years ago, which she probably couldn't have because this has a lot to do with her experience. But if she wrote this song 8 or 9 years ago, I think it would have been a lot more interesting.
You know, I think there is something that happens with public figures, pop culture specifically, where once you kind of experience something enough, you start to see how it works, and then it becomes less interesting to you. We get that complaint about what we do often. You know, the idea like, you know, the videos were better, you know, back then, and now it's all the same and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, no, we're doing the same thing. And in fact, I think, you know, we continue to grow. But it's kind of a natural human kind of thing when you've experienced something a lot that, you know, it kind of gets tiring to you, that kind of thing. So that's probably
I can appreciate the fact that, you know, early on in her career, she's writing songs essentially not to survive, but she's trying to get a career going.
Well, and also
then once you have money, or I'm sorry, go ahead.
Also, there is the idea of you spend an entire life writing your first album, and then you have to write the second one within a year. You know what I mean? So
I think she's put an album out every 2 years.
So artists often do have their best stuff to begin with because, you know, they've been prepping and practicing and
I think Taylor knows how to put a good song together because it's catchy, and she's probably learned some tricks of the trade and maybe can break out of that as time goes on. I don't know that I know every song that she's written isn't one that's like for me, but she's one of those artists that more often than not, I really enjoy what I'm listening to.
What about this one? Do you feel like this one was for you? Did you find yourself like cheering her on, me like, yeah, you know, that kind of thing? Like,
well, so this is an interesting kind of moment in time because if you know what's going on in this artist's life, you know what this song is about to such a personal degree. It's just an interesting thing. A lot of times, like a song will come out and you're like, "Ooh, who is she talking about?" Or I wonder what this one's inspiration is.
But this one, you know,
this one's like you know exactly what's going on if you're kind of up to date on.
Is it about her music rights? Is that okay? Yeah.
Well, there's even that reference to Scooter.
Recently did a bunch of songs about that too, about her life.
Yeah, and there's artists that are coming out more and more about, and a lot of female artists, but this happens in artistry in general. I was actually talking about this on Discord with my Discord friends last night. I went on and just started doing some audio chat. We started talking about this video, and it kind of came up in there that there's male artists, female artists, really anyone. And the conversation about how labels and managers and everything kind of want a piece of the pie and where the artist stands in that and who owns that content is not something that I don't know that the public has been too interested in until recently, when there's such a fan following and such an ability for a songwriter or someone who's creating the music to have the conversation about rights to that music.
Yeah.
And there's such a love for Taylor that I'm glad she's talking about it. I'm glad she's talking about that she doesn't have rights to her music and how she feels like she was betrayed. And I think that anyone, whether you're public or not, should have the right to talk about what's going on. And there's more conversations, I feel, at least more public conversations happening that are hitting kind of more mainstream, at least, about artists who are losing like their rights to even release music. It's crazy.
It's a central moment in the Little Women remake, movie that came out. Greta Gerwig's. There's a central component of the authorship. You know, the author maintaining rights to her material. Like I think it's really in the public consciousness right now, that idea. I know the South Park guys, when Comedy Central was renegotiating with them and didn't want them to leave Comedy Central, they were like, what can we offer you? And they're like, how about give us the rights to our South Park episodes? And so they got those back, and then they turned around and sold them for like $500 million to, one of the streaming services. And it's like, they get, they understood, then that's theirs to do that with. So yeah, artistic ownership is a really interesting thing.
It really is. And it comes up in podcasting too. When anyone launches a new podcast and has there's going to be two people, it's important important to have that conversation. Who owns that audio?
Yeah.
And what happens if half of you walks away? Does that mean that you don't have that anymore? Like, you need to have those conversations, and reading contracts and having contracts is really, really important. And I think that Taylor is just an example of a very talented person who has a very public voice. And part of the conversation was even about, is it annoying that she uses it to talk about politics or whatever? And I don't think so. I like that she's bold. I like watching what she does with her influence and with her perspective. And even if a song like you were talking about, Jonathan, like, even if it's like, feels a little basic, like it feels a little rudimentary, it feels a little bit paint by numbers, I'm kind of okay with it to a certain degree. Regarding this song specifically, I definitely can relate to it. But my experience with being a woman and working with men, I don't feel like I have as much to be annoyed by as someone like Taylor, who has so many voices telling her what to do with her career, what to do with her songs, and even have rights to it.
In the double
Yeah, I think
standard.
there's two different conversations here. I think the message and everything is great. Although I do wonder, like, how many 12-year-old fans of hers are going to get that. But that's fine. The people that do get it are the ones that she did it for. That's fine. But I will say, like, if I was to make a Taylor Swift playlist, this would not go on.
Yeah, and you know what? I
think this is a very manufactured, very there's nothing about this song musically that interests me.
I actually agree with you. I don't know that this would be one of my tops.
Right.
I think Shake It Off would be up there, though.
Yeah.
I really like that
Oh,
song.
hell yeah, Shake It Off would be on there. What are you talking about?
That's amazing.
All right, now it's time for Too Deep into the Lyrics with Aaron Dicer. So I have a question about this song in the message, because on the surface, the message is about the double standard, right? It's about the idea that if a man said this, people would be high-fiving him. But if a woman says this, she gets called this or this, which obviously I totally agree with. But then the video, the man she's playing in the video, that is almost like wish fulfillment. Like, there's an idea of this video that she wants to be the man.
Right.
But this guy's a jerk. Do you want to be that man? Like, that's, I guess
I
there's...
think she's playing up. Well, then there's the thing at the end of the video where it was all him acting.
Right.
So it wasn't actually like a person. It was a man that she hired to act like the man.
By the way, my wife was in the room as I was watching this, and that she like really popped up at that end part. She was like, "Oh, that was interesting," because it does that double thing where
it's like, hey, you were doing great over there on the wall. You're doing good.
Yeah.
And then for the guy, it's like, could you just give it a little bit more?
The triggering for her was like, could you just be more likable?
Yeah.
It's like, what? Like,
honestly,
she said, do people really tell Taylor that? That's awful. And it's like, yeah, all the time, probably.
Well, it even happens subtly in like out in life for me.
A smile more kind of thing. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Smile, sweetie.
The smile. If somebody said that to my daughter while I was around them, I would smack the shit out of them.
I'm going to have to be smacking a lot of people because my kid doesn't smile naturally anyway. Like, she just has a nice FU face. She was born with it.
I've heard that for many women. My wife, my sisters, I just heard that is such a annoying thing to hear.
I guess to bring it back to what I was saying, I guess I just feel like the video almost contradicts is maybe too strong of a word, but the idea of I get that there's the inequality is the important part. Like, the double standard is the important part for us to address, but addressing the double standard isn't so that women can also be jerks. Like, that's not the point, right? Like, it's that we can have the freedom to have equality. I don't know. I probably shouldn't be saying I probably shouldn't be saying any of this because I'm a dude. But
shut up. And,
well, I like
should not put.
What I'm saying is Taylor needs to smile more. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my god. Okay, I've got this French fries right here.
You know I'm kidding.
I know you're kidding.
You know I'm kidding.
I did like that Barrett did, or I think actually, was this one co-written Barrett and Chris?
It might have been.
I don't think so. I think this was just Barrett. I think the next couple Chris is involved.
Okay. But this one had the million sins for that kind of very thing, right?
Yes.
We're like, okay, I'm a dude doing
I love
this.
That.
And it is a little bit tricky waters. It's tricky for me as a female because I don't think that she's trying to say every man is like this, and I think people get triggered by that.
Well, no, I don't even mind that if it were actually a man. What? And I don't mind it at all. I'm not upset about this at all.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
I'm
just
joking.
questioning.
I can tell.
I'm just questioning the idea of there's wish fulfillment here of I want the freedom like men have. But is that how you're going to use it? To pee on a public wall?
But that was an actor.
Yeah, I guess. Maybe I misunderstood.
When you put the lens on, that the entire video was her like persona. That's how I interpreted it. Because at the end, it's like this really like relaxed dude that's like, you know, how it's what was it, Dwayne The Rock Johnson's voice?
Yeah, it was
or whatever.
the voice. Yeah.
So The Rock's like, you know, how was that? Did I do okay? So then he goes back into acting like the man. So I think my interpretation was that the entire music video was a music video.
Yeah.
Like a personification.
Funny, he's like, Dwayne Johnson literally phoned in this performance.
He did.
But even in that moment, the actual Taylor Swift as the director is incorporating the things that we hate about men. She's incorporating the
I see what you're saying.
Just be likable and you're doing fine even though you did nothing, you know, you're doing great, you know, kind of thing. So it's like the role reversal almost feels like this video is saying wants it to be a, you know, I want to be able to be a jerk, which I don't think that's the point.
No, I don't think that's the point.
But it was a weird thing that kind of struck me, so that I probably should have kept to myself. So we'll move on.
No, I think that's a very interesting conversation. And Danae started talking about stuff I didn't even think about, like with her being the director and how that, you know, it's a very cool video, even if the song's not my favorite.
Yeah.
It's a very neat video.
I like that she has the balls to do it.
Yeah.
You know, she has the gonads to do it.
There you go.
So let's read a little bit about what Mr. Barrett said.
Yeah, do it.
Taylor's The Man video, as we discussed on Slack when it came out. Oh, I guess I shouldn't say that. Like, listen, we all talked about it on Slack. We all dug the message and were impressed with the makeup work, but the song is objectively middling to shitty. Middling to shitty. I hate it when songwriters rhyme words with themselves.
I agree.
The Ozzy Osbourne reference, this is very behind the scenes, by the way, is from Black Sabbath's song called War Pigs, where he rhymes masses with masses. Anyway,
I didn't know that.
He generally avoids the comments on this one. So now he kind of wants to talk a little bit about the comments section because, of course, he's still getting used to being the narrator. So he said, I generally avoid the comments, but I looked there to see if there was a giant backlash to narration. And it sounds like it's evenly split, maybe a little bit weighted towards the I Miss Jeremy side, which, of course, we expected. But the main thing I got from the comments was the vitriol about the message of the song being sexist and disrespectful to men. And I know that sentiment exists, but it's always sad to read it, especially in reaction to our video. But there were still some supportive comments and even about specific jokes like the glory hole and the coronavirus among them.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yep.
Shout out to the name Mailer Swift. I thought that was a nice little play on words.
Yep.
That was good. Anything else from you guys you wanted to bring up?
I think we talked about everything for me.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, let's move on to the CinemaSins videos for the week. Let's talk about Midsommar. This is a Dicer share script. Barrett and I wrote on this. Some people call this movie Midsommar because that's what it looks like. But I heard the director call it Midsommar, so I've just been calling it that.
I think that's why I started calling it that.
So anyhow,
I can explain this movie to anyone who's confused, just so you know.
Oh, can you?
Mm-hmm.
There's a pool.
I would love to hear that.
There's some people.
Uh-huh.
They decide to go camping.
Uh-huh.
They meet some other people who are spectacularly dressed.
Yes.
And they all get really messed up on some drugs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Kill each other.
Kidding.
And then wear bear suits with dead people.
Well, there you go.
I just wanted to let you know. And then
moving on to Constantine.
And then jump into a bush of flowers.
There you go.
That's the end.
Okay.
The end is jumping into a bush of flowers.
There is bush in this movie. That is true.
The scent of the flowers makes you smile.
Okay.
There is bush blueberry pie in this movie.
That is true. Yes.
No, so we got some a tweet from Jacob about the beginning of this one being kind of like that, and another important.
Is this artist Jacob?
Jake, the Mr. Collect It.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the guy who drew the pictures of us.
Yeah.
Am I still allowed to say that? Sorry.
No, you're good. No worries.
And he was specifically tweeting about his appreciation for the commentary on suicide and talking to somebody if you needed to speak about it. Suicide impacts a lot of people on a very personal level. And so I saw that tweet come out And so then I went to kind of watch the beginning of the show, but then was very confused about what happened, which led me to read the spoilers about it.
Yeah.
So I read about this movie and then I watched the video. So I feel like I actually understand what's going on this time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You don't have as many questions this
Nope,
time.
not this time.
I will say both Barrett and I did write something about the suicide hotline in our scripts. And in fact, in mine, in parentheses, after mine, I said, you will probably word this a million times better, so just go ahead and use yours. And he did.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
It was great. And yeah, I love that we do that. That's all I think we need to say about
Absolutely, yeah. It needs to be said.
So let's talk about the movie itself, because I know Jonathan and I have seen the movie, and Danae has researched the movie, so maybe she has some thoughts. Jonathan, did you like Midsommar?
Yeah, this was actually one of my first Beyond the Sins, because we
yeah.
started right around when this came out.
That's right.
And I haven't seen it since, so I don't really have anything new to add. I've only seen it the one time in the theater. But no, I really, really, really liked it. Like, I think it has a lot to say. I think it does it in an interesting way. I think Florence Pugh, I guess this was her second movie of 2019, where I really realized, like, well, she's something to pay attention to.
Yeah. She's so great.
And quite possibly the biggest asshole ever in a movie is in this movie. It
You
was
mean
also
the character,
really interesting
not the
watching
actor,
this video
right?
after I've seen The Good Place, because I did not know who Chidi was.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, Chidi's in this movie," and then of course you guys did an outtake.
Yeah.
But no, I've Ari Aster. I really liked Hereditary too. I think I probably liked Hereditary a little better than this, but I liked both of them quite a bit. He's a really interesting filmmaker. I don't know that he's somebody I'm gonna like rewatch his films over and over, but like, once every 5 or 6 years, I could see giving this another viewing and seeing how it works on me at that point in my life.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting movie.
Yeah, I found it. You ready for this?
Fascinating.
I find this movie fascinating.
Everybody drink.
And you did not like Hereditary.
I hate Hereditary.
Yeah.
I think Hereditary does not hold together as a foundational story, and that any metaphor or artistry is kind of lost in the fact that the story is...
Yeah, it's okay.
Nothing.
We're wrong sometimes.
Yeah,
It's all good.
I get a chance to be wrong every once in a while. But
No, it's completely understandable.
Midsommar, on the other hand, has the beautiful imagery, the artistry, the metaphor, and in fact,
Daytime horror.
I think the metaphor in Midsommar is maybe the best thing about it. It is clearly about toxic relationships and about how, ending a relationship and the pain of ending a relationship. It's about toxic masculinity. It's about, a lot of these things. And at the same time, the story itself actually holds together pretty well. And again, it is also daytime horror, which I'm much more likely to enjoy because it feels more to me authentic. Because when horror is done in the typical tropey way of darkness and shadows and figures in the distance, it just doesn't feel like real life to me. It feels like a manipulated, thing, a trope.
It's harder to make stuff scary in the daytime too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more creativity, you feel like, going on. No, I agree. Daytime horror, when it's done well, like stuff like Rosemary's Baby, and when it's done really well, it's awesome.
Yeah.
The Wicker Man, which this movie takes a lot of inspiration from, is another great example.
Yeah, it's hard. It's probably one of the movies that's hardest for me to explain to, family members or friends. Like, how do you like this movie? Like, never watch this movie, guys. Like, it's one of those. It is a movie that literally uses period blood and pubic hair as a plot point. It is, a movie that.
So the video didn't cover that, and that wasn't in the spoilers. So
it's in the video a little bit. We can talk about.
And the depiction of suicide is it's rough.
Yes. It's about
especially if that's something that's happened in your life, it's very rough.
Yeah, and there is a very graphic sex scene with lots of nudity and
also a very funny sex scene.
Well, that's where I was going to go, and it's this weird thing where it's like, because here's the thing, like, sex is funny, right? Like, it's this weird thing. It's, you know what I mean? So it's
like
But they
instantly I'm thinking of
but you've got
stories.
a woman pushing his behind.
yes, one of the old women comes up behind him and starts pushing his rear end into it. You know, it's like it's just I don't know. But what's interesting about it is it is hilarious, and at the same time, it's part of the metaphor about this community being a community in everything. You know, they share each other's griefs, they share each other's humor, they share each other's sexual moments. Like, you know, it's very consistent with what the movie is trying to tell you, and so, you know, it is a hard one to explain. But
Well, and it has that sex scene that's funny. Also has severe consequences.
yeah, totally.
Like really severe. So it's that movie plays with your emotions like a violin, man. It's crazy. Like you'll just the range of emotions you'll experience while watching the movie is super interesting.
Well, and I think it's also a movie about how we take our cues from our community, and the idea of her making her decisions is based on, in many ways, what her, you know, this new community is bringing to her, and even his decisions, you know, this community is bringing him to that. This isn't something he chose to do all on his own. This, you know, he was moved into this by, you know, this group of people. So I don't know.
Are you talking about Bear Boy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
One
He
of
was
the
drugged.
negatives
Okay.
I have heard people that don't really like this movie though is based on that ending, and it's based on her final decision, which I personally don't think that's like the point. So I guess that's why it didn't really bother me in that way. I get where people are coming from because I don't know that that's the decision most people would make.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I found it powerful, but
I think it is. I think there's a real power to it.
I get it. If you're not seeing it that way, I totally get it.
I think it's a movie that is endlessly explorable. There are new things I caught every time I watched it. New foreshadowing. There's bear pictures all over the place. We mentioned one of them in the video. There are overlays in the background of her crowning moment where she has become is it May Queen? I can't remember if they call it May Queen.
Yeah.
And they're lifting her up, and in the forest there is an overlay of her sister's suicide moment that is very slight, but if you know what you're looking for, it's back there, and it's almost as if like this is still haunting her even in this moment, and has defined, you know, who she is and trying to come through it. Like, it's just artistically, he's just doing some incredible stuff here. So,
I'm really curious to see what he does moving forward.
But also don't watch it.
But also for the very discerning viewer.
Think.
Yes, the very discerning viewer. Let's talk about.
I don't think my mom would like it.
Let's talk about the video itself. Danae, you did watch the video.
I watched the video.
What'd you think?
Well, after reading about it and reading how messed up it is, and having not the I don't know, I have no personal experience with the artisticness that you're talking about. Yeah. Mine were just basically like, cool, I read it, I know what happens, now I kind of know what's happening in this video, and then I just enjoyed the sins, you know. So I'll read a couple of the sins I like, and I also have some thoughts from your co-writer.
From Barrett, yeah.
I like the hot cross buns on the recorder. Really like that one.
I can still play that, by the way. My daughter brought a recorder home like a couple years ago.
I had a flashback to playing the recorder when that sin went. I was like, oh my God, I know that too.
Yeah.
The Daniel Tiger reference.
Yeah. I thought you'd like that.
It was
that was amazing.
It was an interesting one.
I thought for a second Danae had written on this.
Yeah, I did too. So like, wait, did I write on this?
Did I write a sin?
I in my mind, I was like, yay, Daniel Tiger. Wait, do I want that in this one? So it was sort of a funny kind of back and forth moment. I did have Christian looks like he ate pizza and might have mild heartburn.
Yeah.
During the sex scene. Wasn't that during the sex scene?
No. That was during they had just seen the At a Stupa, which is the old people leaping to their death.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God, that was so funny because he just was like, I kind of feel a little weird about that. I love the Groot one and the LARP team reference.
Yeah.
Another one that I was like, I love it, LARPing. And then the outtake.
Have you LARPed?
Yes, I have LARPed.
Cool.
And then the outtake, which was like, what was it? The 40-minute walk from the nearest road to the 4-star Michelin restaurant.
Yeah.
That whatever that was from, whatever show that was from, I thought that was just a really brilliant kind of outtake.
Yeah.
So.
lots of fun stuff. What about you, Jonathan?
I'm sorry to go to LARPing, but I just want to ask a real quick question. Have you seen the movie Role Models?
No.
Oh, I was curious if that was accurate.
I think you'd like that movie.
In that movie, and it's very funny.
Let me write it down on a list of movies I'll never watch.
Right? Yeah, exactly. It'll go on the list.
I don't even think they're making fun of it. Like, I think there's a genuine heart there to it. One of the characters is really into LARPing, but I don't know. Anyway, sorry. What I liked about it, I thought it was the Spin Doctors reference was amazing, because I remember thinking that when I saw the movie that dude looked like the guy from Spin Doctors.
Right. Yep.
So that's where the dude from Spin Doctors has been this whole time. We don't fuck around with mushroom birthdays. The 50 Cent.
Yeah.
We already kind of mentioned the Pewberry Pies, but that was just, you got to say that one. Impregnashadowing, and somebody that wrote on this really hates geese. Who hates geese?
Okay, that was me. But listen, it's so fun. It was so funny to me, and I don't even know if 10% of the people who watch this video get it. But during that sex scene, the women sound like geese. They just,
okay. Yeah, that's true. They do. It's very personal.
Can we just play some geese noises?
Well, because they're trying to vocalize like this community does with her as she's having sex, and so they're doing vocal things that she's doing, but they just sound like a herd of geese to me.
Danae, you have got to watch that scene.
No.
Like, surely that is YouTube, because that's on YouTube. You just have to watch that scene. It is amazing.
Anyways, yes, geese are annoying, and so I took
the
the
Saved by the Bell outtake I wanted to mention, because that killed me.
Yeah, there's some good outtakes on this one.
I'm so scared.
The other subtle one that a lot of people got in were mentioning in the comments was the I forget exactly how it's worded, but it was like, I'm surprised nobody noticed the color of the drink, period, because there was period blood in the drink, and so that
I did not catch that.
Yeah. So
oh my god.
Well, and you know that because
amazing.
That's all in that tapestry, right? It lays out the entire thing, and you go along this tapestry, and all of a sudden there's somebody cutting their pubes and then dripping their period blood into a drink, and it's just like that's how you make somebody fall in love with you in this community, is you feed them your pubes. And
that's how I did it.
Of course, who doesn't?
That's just in the spell book.
Oh, I can't wait to hear that story from Justin.
Nice.
It's because he doesn't listen to the show. He will be, if you ask him that question in person this week, just be prepared for the best deer in headlights look. My husband has that look hands down.
I'm going to forget about it in 30 minutes.
Okay.
So.
The only other two things I wanted to mention. Number one, I had a fun time with the answering machine etiquette sin, because I lived through answering machines, and that was a very clear thing. I was wondering if there'd be any pushback, but no, the comments were pretty much like, yep, that's exactly right. And then the thing that I noticed this time through that I didn't notice when I watched it the first time is that Chidi knows what an astupa is. Like, he knew what was coming. That blows my mind. And he's just grinning like,
cool, we're gonna see some shit.
Well, and he's actually like, he says not an actual one, and he's like, oh, it's pretty actual. And at that point,
it's like time to go, right?
Well, if it's not time to go, it's at least time to tell your friends what they might be in store for. I don't know. That kind of blew my mind that he actually knew what an Atastupa was. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that was something I caught either until I watched the video.
Yeah.
Did you want me to read the comments from Barrett?
Yeah, let's hear what Barrett had to say.
Or just skip over Barrett today.
No, what did Barrett have to say? I'm really curious.
Sorry, Barrett, you're not going to be in the show. He said that he's mentioned this before, but this was one of the most unique sinning experiences that he's ever had. Typically, I can look at a movie with a sin hat on and it becomes impersonal. I can write silly things without having to think too much about the narrative and how it would affect me. But this movie unexpectedly crawled into my brain. I'd seen it before and it made an impact, but this time it gave me an unease that was not pleasant. And even though I love and appreciate this movie, it's going to be a long time before I watch it again, at least intentionally. On the silly side, though, I liked sinning psychology majors. Of course, I was one of them. The annihilation joke, the she is Groot, the whole sex scene stuff. It was very nice working with Aaron on this movie in particular, since we both have an appreciation, but slightly different takes on it, and that was always fun.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. Very nice. Let's move on to Constantine. This was an Atkinson-Watkinson joint.
My brother, who has a different last name than me.
Atkinson-Watkins joint. So, yeah, Chris and Jonathan writing on this.
I also know everything about this movie, too.
See, I know nothing about it. I've never seen Constantine.
Have you never seen Constantine?
No.
Wow.
No, I've never seen it.
I've actually never seen it either. So
this was the second time I had ever watched it. I saw it like back in the day when it came out. I guess I saw it in the theater. I don't remember, but which I think was 2005. So I think it was 15 years ago. Which maybe that's partly why Chris decided to pick it. I don't know, but it was really fun to send. I some of these you just don't like. I think they're always fun to send, whatever the movie is. But I think some movies you're not really sure going in, and this one was kind of a nice surprise. And I think Chris and I just collaborated well on it. So I just really got a kick out of this video the way it turned out. It's an okay movie. There's a pretty strong fan base for this movie. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like Keanu's pretty good in it. It has some interesting things to say. I think it dives into like religious ideals and stuff in a kind of an interesting way for like a mainstream comic book movie.
Yeah, that's what kind of I picked up on was they aren't shy with the religious symbiology. So
there's the whole idea that he can't get into heaven because even though he's helping all these people, he's helping these people to try to get himself forgiven, which is one of those interesting kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right.
Scenarios when you dive into some of this that I, even as someone who definitely doesn't have the background that the two of you have, but what little I have, I've never really completely understood that. And we even point that out at the end when he finally does kind of get to go to heaven for a second. The idea that what he was doing still wasn't a selfless act.
Yeah.
He was tricking the devil. He knew exactly what he had to do to get himself. So I don't know. It was kind of weird, but also interesting because most movies wouldn't even go there.
Yeah, it was interesting to read the spoilers on this one. It got a little bit confusing, but in general, I got that he is someone who can see when beings are in our plane and they're not supposed to be, and so he can cast demons out of people, and these demons are trying to basically come to our plane of existence. Yeah. And it did definitely. I read that it was is it a DC character?
Yes.
So that was interesting to me too, because this has a whole like backstory and
it's comic book
content that I've never heard of before. So that means there's like this universe kind of attached to this person.
Aaron and I actually did a Sins video for Justice League Dark a couple years ago.
Oh yeah,
and the Constantine character is in that movie.
That's
interesting.
Right.
So essentially, what's happening is there is kind of this culmination of stuff occurring where there's a loophole for getting the Antichrist or whatever to come to our plane of existence. And it's like this spear has Jesus's blood on it. So that's part of like this prophecy. And then Gabriel's, double agent kind of doing his thing. Yeah. Or I guess I said their thing because it's an androgynous character. So anyhow, it was
super convoluted.
It was interesting to kind of read about.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It was interesting to read about. I don't know that following it in written form was weird though. There was a lot of, it just was kind of clipping pretty quick for a spoiler for me. But I kind of essentially got that the girl character had a twin who killed herself and whispered Constantine before dying. So that connected them together, which meant that, and then he had awakened her visionary powers by a near-death experience. And
I will tell you.
So it was really kind of weird for me to read about.
As somebody who didn't read anything about it and has never seen the movie, I was lost. Which is to be expected. I enjoyed the video just for what pieces it showed me and then the sins that are in it.
Yeah,
but it was
been there.
If you asked me to tell you the plot of Constantine,
please do.
Not a chance.
It's really convoluted too, and that's part of the problem with it. And we send that quite a bit, especially towards the end. Like Gabriel's plan makes no sense. There's no way she would have gotten away with what she got away with up to that point, and there's just a lot of things that don't really make sense once you start giving it our kind of eyes. He
essentially slashes his wrist to kill himself, and the devil comes to collect him himself.
Constantine, yes.
Constantine. And so the devil is kind of having a conversation with him, and then Constantine gets to tell the devil, hey, they're trying to usurp your power by completing this ritual. And so then the devil gets upset and turns on Gabriel, who just lost the holy powers. And so there's this kind of thing. And the devil thinks he's going to get to take Constantine, but because he sacrificed, he said, he said he could get a favor. And so he asks that the girl doesn't go to hell for killing herself. Yes. And so because he did this selfless act, he then gets to go to heaven, but then the devil brings him back and cures him so that he can't go to heaven immediately.
And how does
and that all happens in about 10 minutes.
And how does looking down Rachel Weisz's shirt play into all this?
Let's find out. Let's get
God.
into it.
There is, and Rachel Weisz is a very beautiful woman, but yes, like literally, like there are so many down blouse shots. I mean, I noticed that like right away. So I had to put that sin in there.
Do you want me to go ahead and read Chris's comments?
Yeah, what did Chris have to say?
Yes.
He said,
Please.
Constantine is a better than average movie. It suits Keanu's talents well. There's an internal logic the movie sets up that it follows fairly well, but there are times when it doesn't make sense, like how Gabriel has the power to bring Satan's child out of hell without God knowing, and the movie specifically says such an act would require the power of God. My favorite thing I noticed in this movie is the reverse shot they used twice within 90 seconds of each other, and I highly enjoyed writing a sin that pointed out why it was a reverse shot as opposed to the camera simply being on the other side of the room.
Loved that sin. I had that written down for sure.
And creating a world where a guy sitting next to a hot chick and a group of nameless demons was in the friend zone. And then his side comment was, Rachel Weisz is pretty hot. Actually, he says really pretty.
Yeah.
He says really pretty. I like how he says.
She's a very beautiful woman.
She is really pretty.
But she's definitely shot in this movie with a male gaze.
And Keanu Reeves is a very handsome man.
He really is.
Yeah.
But I can't think of another thing I've seen her in, so I'm gonna look that up while you guys talk about your stuff.
Did you ever see The Mummy with Brendan Fraser?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's in that.
She was. Yeah.
That's probably her like most biggest movie that she's been in.
That's what it's from.
I wrote down the Jesus water in the vase sin as one that I particularly appreciated because it kind of lampoons the ridiculousness of this idea of all these weird things you have to do to, conjure spells or demons or whatever. I thought that was really funny. There are a variety of ways not to be naked, but wearing proper tub attire made me... made me laugh.
That was the scene Chris messed around with because he just thought that scene. He's like this scene is super funny, but it's also super weird.
Yeah,
it is.
And the reason, and I'm glad you pointed out the exact thing that makes it so weird. She doesn't even take off her shoes.
Mm-mm.
Like it's like you could get partway naked even. Like you could not, wear your pants in even or something. Like it's, I don't know, it was weird.
Yeah, and then there was
a bathing suit.
a mention about did it say in the spell or whatever she had to be fully immersed because her hands were out?
Right.
So,
yeah. All that stuff.
Yeah. I think it said she had to be fully immersed.
No one will be seated during the Keanu Reeves hand is bigger than Rachel Weisz's entire stomach.
So
scene.
good.
That was a great notice. That was some Chris noticed.
So those were some of my favorites. I really liked this video. I thought it was really funny. What about you guys?
I really like the wasting the dragon's breath weapon because I really don't like it when that happens in movies. And so I was glad to see that one kind of make it. All of the references to Keanu playing characters named John was a bit mind-blowing. I mean, I don't think about that stuff normally. So to see it all laid out in front of me like that, I'm like, is it a thing?
Did he grow up with the name Keanu and was like, I just want a normal name like John?
John's just a really common name.
The CGI technology. Did you see that reference?
Yeah.
It was spelled with the EYE because it was based on the I. I was like, that was a really good play on words.
Yep.
And there's there's so many things. The pretending not to see 700 jugs in the water I really liked. And then, of course, the Harry Potter conversation. The getting into Harry Potter argument with very little prompt cracked me up.
Well, that's so irritating in the movies. I wrote that one because Dobby's so of such focus in those last few books, but they chose not to have him in the movies. And then in the last movie, we're just supposed to give a shit.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say,
I haven't seen you since the second movie.
I'm going to say too that now I've put a couple of D&D references into some scripts just to see what would happen, and they've been rejected so far. So I'm going to actually use this as a little bit of ammo to say, hey, listen, if the narrator can talk about Harry Potter, that's like a half of a day conversation.
Right.
That's just that's going to a D&D party with your friend one time and getting hooked. He's so close to being able to make a D&D reference.
I was just trying to think of something that bugged me from movie to film, because I usually don't really get bugged by stuff like that because movies and books are different, but that is one thing I thought was an odd choice for the Harry Potter filmmakers to do.
Well, I'm glad you wrote it because I'm going to use it.
Speaking of bugs, that guy that was made up of all bugs that's then smashed on the windshield.
That's so weird.
Did not need to see that. We see so many things in doing our job. For whatever reason, that one I was like, should have blurred it. I don't want to see bug guts.
I don't. Does that freak you out?
I don't know. There was something about it. I had to turn away.
Well, And I had said something, I didn't know if we needed to leave, like Gavin Rosdell's character when he burns like half of his face.
Yeah.
I was a little leery of that, but Chris decided to keep it in as was, and we didn't get, we didn't have any problems getting it through on YouTube. So
I have to. The other thing
you just never know.
The other thing I have to mention is the conversation. The question is asked, like in the pool, and then is answered in a different room.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
This happens, and I don't understand why this happens. This should be. It's such a leap in logic that even if you don't think about it, subconsciously, I think you feel it. I think you feel the idea of how is their conversation continuing in a completely different environment without a hiccup. And I see movies and TV shows do this, and I'm just like, I don't get it, because you have to you have to shoot it that way.
Yeah.
You have to specifically shoot it that way.
I always fill the gaps, and I assume they had some kind of conversation from point A to point B, but
well, especially when it's asking a question and then answering that question, that becomes a little more difficult.
I did want to say one other thing that I saw in the comments a lot, which was that the cutscene revelation with Shia becoming an angel at the end.
Yeah.
Apparently, many people who saw this movie never realized that was like there.
Yeah.
And so this was the first time since the movie came out quite a while ago that they had seen the cutscene. And that was riddled
I couldn't
in the
remember
comments.
if I had seen it or not.
Was him becoming an angel? Was he some sort of savior?
He was.
Because if he is, can we call him the Messiah?
Oh my God.
Yeah, his character is in the comics, though. He's somebody that helps Constantine as an angel. A few things I'll mention. I liked Quentin Tarantino's Constantine. I just love that we had another foot fetish thing we could throw in, because I feel like we've been making fun of Quentin Tarantino quite a bit the past month.
Yeah.
The whole thing about the balance that was driving me crazy as I was watching that, because it didn't really. It just made no sense why that was the thing that anybody followed. It never made sense to me. Like, clearly people would be cheating, and that's kind of the whole reason Constantine's there. And then the other thing was, Angela doesn't quick time correctly, and then I loved Chris's running sin of the greedy fly, the Bush reference with Gavin Rosdell, and then I loved on the third time we did it, he just said Bush.
Yeah. Good stuff.
I did have one more that I wanted to mention.
Do it.
That's me. But this one came from the comments. It was from Janice Tenbrick, who says, "Shout out for respecting Gabriel's gender ambiguity by using their pronouns." So good job.
Yeah, nicely done.
Yeah, that was something that we discussed, and we're like, we got to do it that way. So
nicely done, us. Well done.
We.
Okay, I think we move on to keeping tabs.
One more thing.
Oh,
Just
okay.
kidding. Sorry.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
Oh, jeez.
This is the most public yet of my many humiliations.
Let's each tell a story from putting together the content for the week. Maybe,
Sit down for your story, everybody.
It can be a Google search, some strange research, deleted sin, whatever you want to do. Danae is wagging her finger like she wants to go first. So
I was just getting excited about mine.
Oh, well,
because I get to talk about the proboscis monkey.
Yes, tell us about the nose monkey.
Well, I thought that Dick Hatch was sitting in the tree like a monkey, and then I was like, but what kind of monkey?
I love that you just called him Dick Hatch.
Isn't that what his name was?
No, it is now. Yeah,
Richard Alpert.
So I started off my search by looking up, quote, funny monkey species. Turns out all monkeys are just funny.
Yeah.
There's not really a monkey that is funnier than others. But
the proboscis is a pretty funny monkey.
I ultimately landed on that one because it's a fun name. It reminds you of Probst too. And there's like this sort of he's got an interesting face. And if you decided to go look up the monkey, you'd have a fun moment going, oh, that's what a proboscis monkey looks like. So they're the ones that have the really long schnoz.
Mm-hmm. Well,
very
that's what proboscis
prominent.
means.
It does mean that. And I learned about the type of monkey as well. Apparently, when they do their mating call, it's more unique.
Do they sound like geese?
Oh my God. I didn't think about that, but yes. Yeah. I listened to about 20 hours of just proboscis monkey mating sounds.
Justin's like, honey, I don't know what you're listening to, but all of a sudden I'm in the mood.
I married a monkey. So it like the nasal resonation of it is different because they have such a large schnoz.
Yeah.
So I always thought that was interesting. You know, I guess most monkeys just comes out, and this time it went rah rah in there. I don't know. I didn't actually listen to the sounds. I don't have a reference point, but I learned something interesting about them. They are in the world of primates, they're the most prolific swimmers. Which wouldn't have known. They leap from tree limbs and hit the water with, quote, comical belly flops. How cute is that to think about? They're just swinging in trees and they do these like
big nose belly flopping monkeys.
And they've evolved webbed feet and hands to help them to outpace crocodiles and other predators that are in the water.
Wow.
So they're not your average monkey. They have all kinds of fun things going on. I learned more about them. Of course, it ends in like, you know, sadness about them becoming extinct, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know, save the rainforests wherever they live.
Wait, it's genuinely important to you. You make it sound like it's not.
I know. I just kind of want to avoid it because it hurts my poor heart.
That's what I was trying to clear up because it could be misunderstood that you're
true.
like, it's not important. But I know what you're doing is you're deflecting because it's so important to you.
It hurts my feelings.
Right.
I mean, those poor rhinos, they're gone forever.
I hear you.
Anyhow, they're omnivores. They have a harem. They're real interesting.
Nice. Very nice. What about you, Jonathan?
I didn't really look up anything, but I did have a quick deleted sin. But in Constantine, there was a scene where I think it was the guy that was possessed by the devil's son. He's like walking down the road and like all these cattle are just dying.
Yeah.
And we ended up using the sin Manuel as a dick to cattle. The original thing I wrote, though, was very simply Trail of Steers.
Nice.
And Chris really liked it, but he's like, I even hesitated keeping it in there.
Right, because it's a bit insensitive.
It is insensitive.
Yeah,
for sure.
It is. I mean, it could be taken that way. It wasn't meant that way.
No, I think I understand.
But yeah. So that's all I really had. That was just a deleted thing because I didn't really have anything I looked up. So
I wanted to talk about an outtake based on the answering machine in Midsommar, where it plays a goofy answering machine message after it picks up, because it's hard for someone who didn't live through the 80s to understand how big the comical answering machine market was. Do you remember those commercials, Danae?
Yes.
My family, my mother made a song and we performed the song on our answering machine.
Oh, no. Do you still have a copy of this?
No, but I probably could remember it. It was to the tune Jingle Bells.
Oh my goodness.
I remember it. I think it was something like running for the phone in a house that is too small, trying to avoid the cats, the dog, the ball. I hit them anyway and hurt my funny bone. I'm lying on the floor just 2 feet from the phone. Jingle bells, here's the stupid tone. Leave a message anyway. Here's the stupid tone. Something like that. That's not 100% it, but that's like 90% there.
Oh, man.
I think we just had one of those where my mom like made us all say our names.
Yeah, right? Like a roll call.
Yeah.
Hi, you've reached the household of the Boyshausens.
Yeah.
Hammer. Bonnie. Ben. Danae!
I had a very particular commercial that I remembered, and part of it is played in that outtake, but I have loaded up the full 60-second commercial.
Oh my God, no, you haven't.
So,
is this the I'm Not Home thing?
Yes. So, so you can hear, like, this was a legit thing that lots of people bought for their answering machine to answer the phone. These people made millions of dollars. So, you ready for this?
Yeah, I probably will remember it.
Hey, how are you? Sorry that I'm not at home. But when I get the message on my telephone, you'll be the first one on my list.
Crazy Calls, a tape of 7 different songs and funny recordings for answering machines.
I am very sorry that I'm not at home to take your call.
Do you remember this?
Yeah.
I never bought it, but yes, I remember.
Give someone the gift of gab for their answering machine.
Calling a friend. What you've actually done is bought a one-way ticket to the answering machine.
The answering machine zone.
Nobody's home. I'm glad you called, but I'm not home. But I'll be back.
Oh, that's
Crazy
good.
Calls, a tape of 7 different songs and funny recordings for only $14.95.
Only $15, guys.
Worth it.
You guys have this to order? Or you just remember the commercial?
I just remember the commercial.
1-800-351-5200.
Yeah, that would play like right after the Freedom Rock commercial.
1-800-351-5200.
I wonder if that still works. I wonder if that number
Remember
still works.
1-800 numbers?
Yeah, right? Oh, man. Nostalgia.
Yeah. Things that we're glad don't exist anymore.
Yeah, there are some things. I guess infomercials and stuff still do exist, unfortunately, but some of those things.
Back in the day, you couldn't like press 1 and skip either. You had to sit there and listen to the entire thing every time someone called you.
I'm pretty sure, though, it is officially gone to cell phones now, though, like crap calls, spam. I mean, I get a ton now on my cell phone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
I think now it is more appropriate for your answering thing to be, "You've reached Danae. Thanks for calling." People know what to do. The shorter, the better. It's more respectful that way. I get annoyed when it's like the automated one goes, your party can't be reached. And then it's like, ding. And then the message plays. It's like, no. Just go straight to voice. Just get them to the voicemail. But no one leaves voicemail anymore.
Well, and
I think the best one ever, though, for that I would love to try to pull off is the Archer ones. Do you know what I'm talking about, Aaron?
No.
Where he'll sit there and like be having a conversation like he's there.
Oh yes.
But it's like really well done. But of course it's an animated show, so of course they can kind of get away with it. But like his mom will call him and think she's talking to him.
Oh man, those were so annoying to me. My friend Ida has one of those, and but
they're really funny.
It's really good. She does a really good job.
Yeah, that's funny once.
Yeah, it is funny once.
Maybe funny
I'm
once.
Sure, mine's just. Nobody calls me. Everybody texts me now. That's the other thing. I mean, people don't call that much anymore.
Well, I think, Danae, yours, for a long time at least, said something like, feel free to leave a message, but I'm not going to check it, so you probably want to text me.
Yeah.
Something like that. So,
be honest with you.
Just going to be honest with you. All right, let's move on to the comment section.
I want to know what you're thinking.
I appreciate your honesty. You're a real straight shooter.
You are the ones who are the ball lickers.
I'll start.
Danae, you want to start? I'm having voice stuff.
Are you okay?
Yeah, no.
You drink some water. I'll make
eat
a
an
face.
apple.
No, it doesn't work. You're just.
Were you trying to make me do a spit take?
Yeah, that's not very good. There's actually
eating an apple is the best thing for your voice.
It is. Well, it's the best thing for your saliva.
There's a channel that is like a you laugh, you lose type of a thing.
Yeah.
Where the person sits in a chair, has water in their mouth, and the people try to make them spit it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it was interesting.
I like that.
I watched it because some cast of Critical Role went on there. Imagine that. All right. This one's from Laura. She sent me an email. Hi, Laura. We're going from the idea mentioned in this last week's BTS. She had an idea for merch. So here's my comment.
Okay. What email did she send that to today?
You want to know. She actually sent it directly to me.
Oh, okay.
She said, it was kind of going off of my mention of like where I'm wandering away on the back of the shirt.
Yeah.
She was like, I want to kind of go off of that. Have Jonathan and Aaron in the center, if possible, like they're going to take a photo or something, holding their favorite book or shirt or movie or something. But then Danae is off on the side chasing a butterfly. But when you look closer, the butterfly wing actually has the word chips on it, and the colors of the body of the butterfly is actually a tater tot.
Nice.
Listen, I don't even care if that would work on a shirt or not. I just love the idea that you just keep getting like zoom in more and more, and it just turns into something crazy.
It's the world's first zoom in enhanced t-shirt.
I think it's funny people don't think Aaron and I like to eat. I guess you haven't met us.
Yeah, right.
She says it's fun to think about to incorporate Aaron and Jonathan's love of movies and Danae's ability to get distracted. In parentheses, her keeping tabs rabbit holes are always a highlight to me. So then going on, the butterfly is a fun nod to the chips are good and Danae's tots addiction. I love your guys' show. Thank you for all the work you guys do and the rest of the Sins team and all that they put in. So keep writing and recording. Best wishes, Laura.
Very nice. Thank you, Laura. Appreciate that. My comment comes from Marie. This is on the Survivor video. CinemaSins, they're not actually in danger. Survivor, Africa says hello. I wanted to mention this because I wasn't intending in the Sins video to say this, the people on Survivor aren't ever in danger. Because there was also a list of comments that, mentioned when I think Mike was his name that fell in the fire, that happened.
Australia.
People have passed out. People have had to be medevaced out. Like people
really
actually
bad bug bites.
Yeah. Really bad bad bug bites, that kind of stuff. What I was saying was they're in a protected environment.
Right.
But Africa is the good example to go to if you want to go, okay, that was more legit, because they really were in a burn in Africa with wild animals, prowling around them. So that was the one season where the animals did come into play more than usual. So
Get
because
out.
there's like that. I remember that one moment where they see like it's not a boar. I don't remember what the animal is, but it's one of the deadliest animals on that area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they actually see one, and they're just kind of standing there till it moves on.
Yeah. So I maybe I was a little too
loose with that one.
Yeah, a little bit, because certainly there is some danger involved in Survivor.
I wrote a sin that said Trail of Steers, so you're perfectly fine.
What about you, Jonathan? What's your comment?
I have one from The Walking Dead where Glenn LaRoche said, "The Walking Dead drinking game. 1, take a shot when Rick yells Coral, or some episodes Carol. 2, have ambulance on standby."
There you go.
Oh, you know what? That reminds me that one of the comments that we also got, I think it was on Discord, is to have a shot glass for BTS that says "fascinating" on it.
I like it.
Isn't that fun? Great feedback.
Sell some shot glasses.
That is a good one. All right.
I want one now that has me with a T-shirt with me saying, "Danae loves Lady in the Water."
What?
Like, she don't watch any movies, but that's the movie.
Let's move on to Beyond the Sins.
To infinity and beyond.
Somewhere beyond my wildest dream.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
We're each going to chat about something else in the world of pop culture that we've experienced recently. What do you got, Jonathan?
I didn't really watch anything that great, or at least that great that I'm not talking about on other things. So I'm actually going to talk about a negative, but it's an interesting negative. I watched a movie called Guns Akimbo.
Oh, this was just in the news because of all the junk going on Twitter, right?
Yeah, the director, it's directed by Jason Leigh Howden. He also directed before this. He directed a horror comedy from a few years ago called Deathgasm that I guess developed a bit of a cult following. I know like the Sincast crew, like the A-Team has talked about it before, and how much they enjoyed it. And then, he was on Twitter recently. He took a bit of a beating because he was lashing out and accusing some online film critics of cyberbullying a woman. I don't know a ton about it, and so it just kind of became a thing. Like I said, I can't really speak to it. So if you know more about it and you think I'm an idiot, that's fine. But I don't know. But I just want to watch the movie.
I think what's valuable to the conversation is just to say we aren't discussing that part of it. All that stuff that happened on Twitter, it was several different moments and things, but what we're talking about is the movie itself, which you saw. So
yes, that is true. But it is interesting because the movie very much. Well, let me explain the movie first. So the movie is about this underground fight club that's called Schism, and it live streams the opponents tracking each other down and trying to kill each other. Daniel Radcliffe plays this guy named Miles, and who's had a very interesting post-Harry Potter career, by the way. All power to that dude, and he's really good in this.
Yeah.
He decides one night when he's kind of he's a code guy for a video game on a phone, like an app game or something, and he just hates his life and just lost his girlfriend, all that kind of stuff. Or she broke up with him, she didn't die. But he decides one night, he's drunk, and he decides to troll all these people involved with Schism. So the people behind it come to his apartment, they knock him out, and then he wakes up the next morning and he's got guns bolted to both of his hands.
Okay.
And then he's told that he's going to have to play Schism. And the player that he has to go against is this woman named Nyx, who's played by Samara Weaving, who is also really good in this. She's having a blast too. She's playing like a very different character than I've seen her like in stuff like Ready or Not and The Babysitter. So both of them are really good. The movie is just the movie has a lot to say about social media, which is why I'm saying that it's kind of interesting the whole Twitter thing happened. But he clearly is not a fan of social media based on what I saw in this movie, but it's kind of like, it's not really interesting. Like, it's kind of the equivalent of like some old guy screaming, "Get off my lawn" at you for 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's kind of how the movie plays. It's also like very discount, like Tony Scott, like the way it's directed. Like it's like people trying to be Tony Scott, but not understanding why Tony Scott was a good director. It's not subtle at all. Like, if, we were talking about The Man, the Taylor Swift song, this literally like beats you over the head with its message. And then, like I said, it's almost like this hyper realized way. It doesn't really work. It's an interesting concept, and Daniel Radcliffe and Samara Weaving going at each other is really fun. I mean, it can be at times, but it's just, unfortunately, the execution's not good. So it just, it never really comes together to be anything interesting. But I don't know. I've seen where people really liked it, so it does have its fans. It wasn't my kind of thing.
You're just not one of them.
Nope.
I'll go next. I saw the first two episodes of Devs on.
Cool. I was really interested in this.
FX on Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
So Alex Garland did Ex Machina and Annihilation, and I knew I was in love. I really enjoy the way he visualizes sci-fi.
Jen.
Look, she knows it's just part of our marriage is that there's an openness to other directors being involved. That's just, she knows. So anyhow,
does he push your butt?
Her butt or my butt?
I don't know.
Both at the same time? Kind of squeezes.
I'm not a director. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, he directs. He stands in the corner and directs. This time with a little more passion.
A little more.
Anyhow, Alex Garland has directed and written this show for FX, and it's part of FX's new thing where all their stuff is on Hulu, because, of course, Disney owns FX and Hulu now, and so they're doing it that way. Mm-hmm. And I watched the first two episodes, and yeah, I am smitten with this show.
That's all that's available, right?
Yeah, the first two episodes are all that's available. It will then release weekly. This is, if you like the way Alex Garland sees sci-fi, there is more of it here. It has kind of the very similar tone that those do, very similar, distrust of technology and yet a love for technology. That's kind of the beautiful thing about Garland is he understands what's beautiful about technology and also what is scary about technology, and I really, really enjoy that. It's Nick Offerman in probably a way you've never seen him before, which I really enjoy. And then you've also got Allison Pill, who's doing some good stuff here. And
she's sweet. She's on Picard.
I was just about to say, she's also on Picard right now. So some really, really intellectual stuff going on here too, with the idea of determinism and predestination, the idea of if you could see the future, could you change it? If you could see the past and figure that out, does that mean that you could also figure out how to see the future? So I think it is kind of one of those shows that I would say is designed for me, and so it's not a surprise that I love it, but I am really, really enjoying the show two episodes in.
I can't wait to watch it.
So yeah, I think it's really great. What about you, Danae?
I'm going to talk about one of my favorite Instagrammers today. She is controversial. She is raw. She's not for everybody. Okay. But I find her to be, as my friend says, fascinating.
Get you all drunk.
Felicia Day.
On Instagram, it's She Is of the Woods with _ in between each and every one. So She Is of the Woods, and her name is something I don't even remember because I'm that much of a follower. I'm just kidding.
Is she literally of the woods?
Yes, her name is April Graham. I've ordered some stuff from her. She lives in the mountains, and she is completely against essential oils because
that's like her thing is to be against essential.
Well, that's one of the things that people are surprised about her because she's an herbalist. Her stance is that when the process of getting the oils out of the plants is not good, and that if we understand herbalism, there's a way to do it where you don't have to strip the plants, and that essentially the process and the companies that have been created to create essential oils are making a whole new set of problems, where if we just use the plants as they're meant to be used, she's kind of like that.
So it's a manufacturing issue, not necessarily a effectiveness issue.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of people who use them and they don't know what they're doing. And there's companies out there that sell essential oils, and my mom actually had this experience where she wasn't told how to use the essential oils because it's not their job to tell you how. You have to research it yourself. And she was really jacking her body up because she was just ingesting raw essential oils without diluting them. And so she was doing damage to her body. So anyhow, April is interesting. She, I think she was homeless at one point in time. She has really messed up teeth. She's got dreads. She's got this major tattoos on her body.
Yeah, that chest tattoo is interesting.
I think it used to be something else, and then she had it covered because that part of her life was over. She talks about everything very raw, very real, and I'm really attracted to that kind of personality. So when I first came into contact with her, that was one of the reasons I really wanted to continue to follow her. But she's very educational and she teaches a lot. And so, anyways, if you have any desire to learn from someone like that, she's doing this. She released some stuff on YouTube as well. Her YouTube channel is She Is of the Woods. And she released a video a few days ago on coronavirus. And she talks about how it attacks the upper respiratory system. So here's some things you can do to just bolster your system, not using essential oils, but using powders and things that are kind of made of roots, things like that. And today she released how to make your own hand sanitizer.
I gotcha.
So she's and she the to-do list of how to do it. She has a whole video on how to do it, how to make it yourself. So there are also YouTube videos, and there's also like tons of stuff coming up right now on making your own hand sanitizer using like aloe vera gel mixed with XYZ ingredients because the gel's already been created. So you can find your own stuff if that's something that you're interested in, thinking about, or concerned about, obviously, as that's just a hot topic right now. But I really like that her voice is so different. And so I thought I would just shine a light on a very different character that I really enjoy.
Neat. No, that's great. That's great.
Okay.
She Is of the Woods.
Yes.
All underscores in between the words.
One more plug for her would be her website, which is Wildwood Apothecary, if you wanted to see the products that she creates. And I can attest to a few of them. I use them on regularly. So.
And Janae's going to be moving in with her, making her own hand sanitizer.
Something pretty cool is one of her goals is to have a free place to teach people how to do this, where you come out to her land and actually get to learn for free.
Like, what mountains is she in?
Let me make sure.
She say?
Yeah, she talks about it all the time, but I'm not sure if I'm going to find it fast enough. I want to say Oregon.
No worries.
One of the things she talked about recently that I thought was really cool, somebody asked her a question on Instagram about like why she has dreads.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I guess, part of her family's culture, even though she's Caucasian. And I didn't know that there's like, she had this whole thing like, this is part of how I was raised. You don't ever cut your hair. If you do, you lose your power and your spirit. So she's got some really interesting ways of thinking, which again, I like.
It's very, very Nazarene. It's very Samson.
Yeah. Well, and she's in an area where there's lots of Mennonites. And so she's not a very popular person in her neck of the wood.
Or Womanites.
That's true. Anyway, I cannot find where the land is off the top of my head. But she did just purchase like a whole new set of acreage. And
that's cool.
She shows all of this on her Instagram. So like you can really just see into her whole life.
Very nice.
Neat.
Yeah.
That's going to wrap it up for Behind the Sins this week. Thanks for listening. And don't forget to make sure you are subscribed. Go ahead and leave a comment or rating as well, wherever you listen to the podcast. You can hang out with us on Twitter. I'm at Aaron Dicer. She is at Danae Says.
DeneeSays.
And he is at Sam Loomis 13. So for Jonathan Watkins, Danae Hughes, and myself, we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening. Send any feedback to behindthesinspod@gmail.com. And be sure to subscribe or message us at Twitter. And be sure to visit CinemaSins.com.
Chirkity, chirkity.
Burkity, burkity.
Oh, hello, voice. It's good to hear ya.
I just think it's,
Just say it.
I can't. It is so hard for me. I love having a pen on my phone.
Oh, yeah.
I fucking love it.
But you don't like your phone.
I hate my phone.
There is no best of both worlds for you. I'm sorry. You just have to make the decision, right? Like, which is more valuable? And it's probably like a grass is always greener kind of thing. Like, if you had the Pixel 4 or whatever,
right?
You'd probably be like, oh, I want a pen.
I know.
mean, I love this phone, but I
know.
want a pen.
That is 100% what's going to happen, except for the functionality of the Samsung is so clunky.
Yeah.
It drives me insane. Hey, I'm going to be eating during the show today.
You know, one of my favorite things.
It's very different than normal days, but.
Those are potato wedges.
I'm so disappointed in Wendy's breakfast. They don't have tots.
You went with a different potato product.
It's sad. I can't put mustard on that.
Well, you could.
I could.
Welcome to the new game show. Can you put mustard on that?
Oh my God. Can I tell you what mustard can definitely go inside of? A dog. Aaron, what the hell, dude? They went into my dog's digestive system.
He ate it?
He ate, I think, 5 mustard packets.
Wow. Plastic and all?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all came out.
You know that for a fact.
I mean, I didn't see it happen.
Okay.
But the after was pretty obvious to me.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I could never go to Wendy's for breakfast again.
How was the other Wendy's breakfast?
From the other day?
No, what stuff have you had from there?
I've had their ham, egg, and cheese, and now I've had their sausage, egg, and cheese.
And how are those?
They're okay. Yeah.
Compared to other breakfast sandwiches from different fast food places.
I have my favorites.
What's your favorite?
They're not gonna compare. Their eggs are a little bit thin. Like they don't really bulk up their eggs. Their eggs are kind of
gotta bulk up those eggs. How dare they not take the time to bulk up their eggs?
I'm just like imagining like a little egg with those like some
dumbbells,
swole arms attached like Trogdor.
Yes, yes. Skype, right? Yeah, that's it. Okay.
I feel like
listen. I'm not lying.
You know what I'm gonna do?
What?
I'm going to make a checklist for you, and then I'm gonna get a poster size version.
It's good.
I'm gonna put it on the wall behind my head.
It's good
because it's where you look.
It's
at this
good.
wall.
No, I'm losing it. I'm legit. My brain is not coming up with information as fast as it used to, and it's kind of scary.
Here's the cool thing. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
All you have to do is click.
I know. I moved it there.
You found the call button.
Oh wow, that was
you did
good
it.
job, buddy.
You did it, buddy. Hi.
Hi.
Ivy Winters.
What did you say?
Ivy Winters.
Oh.
Okay. Hey, I have got a hell of a cough, just FYI,
Oh,
so
no.
I will do my best.
Not before Sin Week.
People are gonna.
Well, it's Monday. I'll be fine by Thursday.
Yeah, you better be, because people be throwing the COVID shade at you.
And you're gonna have to wear a mask.
Oh, it's not that. No, my daughter had the flu, and I've just been around her. I think I just picked up some funk. She's fine though. It only took her a couple days to get over it.
It's in
She's
Nashville.
Back at school.
It's in Missouri.
It's in Missouri. It's also in Nashville. Yeah.
What?
We are gonna die. I just searched for make your own, and the top one is hand sanitizer. So I'm gonna learn how to make my own hand sanitizer.
Oh my God, you're gonna be like living in the wilderness. That's where you're moving, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That was always Danae's plan.
Yeah, that's actually true.
She's just gonna have like a bunker with like all like shelves of homemade hand sanitizer.
Oh yeah, you're speaking her language now.
Mm-hmm. It says I need alcohol, so that's good.
People forget like the ideas of shaking hands, even kissing, those kind of things. Those are evolutionary tactics to spread herd immunity to different things. So it's kind of interesting to,
people aren't letting their kids play in dirt anymore. You need to let your kids play in dirt.
Yeah, that whole kind of thing. Like we're too
Kiss
clean.
me.
And
Everybody kiss.
Hey, listen, if it's what needs to happen for the world to survive.
If we're gonna die.
Yeah. I'm not being a stalker.
No.
I'm saving your life.
I think the quote from the movie is "Make out with me if you want to live." I think that's what Arnold said.
Yeah.
I just signed with an X. I'm that cool. No, I'm just kidding.
That's so cool. That's like the coolest.
He just does J and then a triple X.
Whoa.
I'm gonna sign over Danae's tater tots.
Was that a euphemism?
Because that's right in the middle of my body.
The tater tots.
I don't think Danae asked you to sign her tater tots.
Sign over my tater tots.
I guess they're my tater tots because they're right in the middle of my body.
That's right.
I've never worn a Jaws t-shirt in my life, or a Freddy glove for that matter.
We have now.
Now you do. And it's so popular. Everybody loves it so much. It's such a cool thing.
I might have been Freddy for Halloween. That might not be true. I was Super Grover. You remember Super Grover?
Oh, yes. Fun. I loved Super Grover.
Super Grover?
Yeah.
What is this?
It's Grover,
Street. It was just a character.
He's a superhero.
Did he wear like a cape?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wore a cape and he wore like a crown.
Don't look at me like I'm stupid. I've never seen Super Grover. I don't know what it is. What were his superpowers?
I don't think he really had any.
Yeah, I think he was just like an ant, like he was Grover.
But just with a cape on?
I haven't been to Sesame Street Live since Mackenzie was a baby.
His superpower was phonetics.
I'm gonna eat another French fry.
That's not a French fry.
Hey, do you guys have Bojangles? I had Bojangles this morning.
Hey, you leave my Bojangles out of this.
What's a Bojangle?
Do you really not have Bojangles there? The restaurant?
No.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. They just have really cool like hash brown / tater tots. They're called bow rounds. So they're like these big circles. and they're seasoned.
She doesn't want her tots seasoned though, because then it conflicts with the mustard.
Yeah.
Oh, well then never mind.
Yeah.
I just put hot sauce on them.
Oh, interesting. I'll get you real regular in the morning. Some coffee, some hot sauce.
I use hot sauce for just about everything now because it's not fattening. You can just put hot sauce on stuff and it gives it flavor, and
it gives it hot sauce flavor.
But I think hot sauce just seasons it.
Yeah. I like the flavor of potatoes.
Yeah, potatoes are just kind of bland. Then you put some hot sauce on them and they're tasty.
How dare you, sir?
They taste like potato.
Potatoes are amazing.
It's
like lettuce has a flavor. No, potatoes are great. I just like to add hot sauce to them.
Potatoes taste like solid starch, which is a flavor.
Well, it's a flavor I love.
I love potato. Don't look at me like I'm on the other side of this.
I love potato too. I just like putting hot sauce
Whatever.
on. How's that different than dipping your fries in ketchup?
It isn't, which is why I don't dip my fries in ketchup.
Oh, you're not a condiment person.
I am not.
No,
so you're a communist.
Yeah, he's a plain guy.
Okay.
Condiment unist?
No.
I believe those are called Nazis, people that don't use condiments. Who is that? I can't think of who that is. It's the comic that does the Hot Pocket bit.
Jim Gaffigan.
Jim Gaffigan, yeah, he has a bit where he says people that don't use ketchup, or what do you call them? They're Nazis. That's right.
Yeah, because when I see condiments, I'm like, not these condiments. Jonathan actually laughed. I didn't think that was actually funny, but I kind of laughed. Nice.
That was funny to me.
Yeah.
I'm getting a haircut tomorrow before we travel so that I'm so fresh. But here's the problem. They make my hair look so cute when I leave the salon. But by Thursday, Friday, it's just, I'm going to have washed it. So it's just going to be regular old my face.
Yep.
On regular old my hair. The biggest decision that I'm having to make is like whether to wear makeup or not. Because I kind of,
how are you feeling about
I want to
that?
be myself,
You
and
should.
myself is usually just maybe mascara.
Are you wearing makeup right now?
Just mascara.
You look great.
Technically, yesterday's mascara.
I don't think there's like heavy lights on you, but it will be live streamed if that changes your mind.
Can we call yesterday's mascara past mascara?
Yes, we
Okay.
can. Well, I don't wear makeup because I'm pale. I wear makeup because I'm pale, but then the like dark circles under my eyes make me look like I have a problem. And that's
you see
something
that so much more than anybody else does.
Yeah, I would think so.
And I'll see pictures and be
noticed.
like, oh, it's not there. But then I see my face every day and I'm like, oh God, people are going to think.
Now that nose you have, no, I'm just kidding.
The nose is a whole other thing. I think I'm probably not going to wear makeup. I think I'm just
so
going
glad to hear that.
I think I'm just going to go with, if I decide to put a little bit of eyeshadow on, that's normal. I'll be normal, Danae. I'm not going to be like,
you should just wear like a tank top and just have like armpit hair just hanging down.
I'm down for that.
I definitely.
I'm doing this.
I have armpit hair.
I don't.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot. Because I talk about it on the show, wanting to just be myself.
I totally think that's the way to go. Just be you.
Yeah, just be in pajama pants.
Hell yeah. I'll just show up in my pajamas, be like, hey guys, recording BTS just like normal.
The One-Eyed Monster.
One-Eyed Monster, yeah.
I've never heard it called a monster. I've heard Willy, like a one-eyed Willy. Which is why Goonies was so funny.
Ah, I see. That's why Goonies was funny.
Yeah. The only reason.
That one reason Goonies was funny.
Nah, penises are funny.